Right now, we are joined via Zoom by the former Information Minister and Member of Parliament for Ofuasi Aribi, Honorable Kojo Nkrumah. Now, he is to share his perspective on some key government decisions taken this week, as well as insights into a private member's bill he is sponsoring to amend the Public Financial Management Act. Thank you very much, Honorable, for joining us. Let's quickly start with the introduction of the 1 Ghana cedi per litre of fuel, widely described as the Dumsor Levy. You were one of its most vocal critics, but the levy has now been implemented and fuel prices remain lower than where your government left them, even though this government is in its early days. Do you feel, or does this suggest to you, that your advocacy has fallen on deaf ears?
Our advocacy is not aimed at doing an unnecessary political banter with the government. Our advocacy is aimed at exercising oversight on government economic policy, specifically the introduction of fiscal policy measures. Let's do a quick background. First, the government told us that they will increase revenue without introducing new taxes. You recall that when we were approving the finance minister, we said if they can do that, we will support them. And then, secondly, the government came to Parliament and asked us to amend the ESLA Act so that they could consolidate the levies to go and pay energy sector debts. We did that for them. The government then came forward to say that because of the risk of Dumsor, they wanted to increase electricity by about 14%. That was approved by the PUIC. And when the government realized that the earlier warning we had given, that the removal of some of the taxes will create about a $7 billion cedi hole in the budget. You remember we warned about it. The government said that they had a smart way to fix it. When they realized that that smart way was not working, then they came back midnight in Parliament to bring about this 8% levy on fuel. And even when they brought it to Parliament, they tried to hide it by telling everybody that it's only 1 Ghana cedi per litre. If you work the numbers, it's 8%, one of the highest taxes that's been introduced. And worse, it was introduced on fuel. It is in this context that we drew the government's attention to the fact that, listen, if you do that, fuel prices will go up by about 8%. You will recall the energy minister saying to us that that is not possible and that it was an innovative strategy. It wouldn't lead to an increase in fuel prices. Today, unfortunately, fuel prices are going up, averaging about 8%, just as we had predicted. Not only that, we had also warned that because you don't control fuel prices on the global market, any slight escalation will then translate into higher fuel prices on the Ghanaian market at a time when Ghanaians should be enjoying more relief from what we have all done to bring the Ghanaian cedi to this appreciated point, about 42% appreciation. So if you go ahead to do this, you are denying Ghanaians the relief, and you are also risking further escalation in prices if fuel prices go up. And then finally, we drew the government's attention to the fact that today, between 25 and 30% of fuel prices is actually just levies and taxes, many of which have outlived their usefulness. And the government should, at this time, take them off so that the people can have relief.
Right.
The government initially suspended and now has brought it back and the prices are going up. And that's why we're telling them that, listen, you don't need to do this, rather pull back and let's rewind the levies that are not necessary at this point so that the people can enjoy the relief.
Well, let's also look at the purpose of the levy. There were earlier concerns raised by the minority that it was a bit of contradictory when it came to the purpose when government was communicating this to the public. Now, would you also say that this ambiguity has now been clarified to the caucus?
It has not been clarified. The government in one breath said that they wanted to go and pay energy sector debt. And we reminded them that on 2 other occasions, they had come for money or amendments to go and pay energy sector debt. So this cannot be for energy sector debt. Then the energy minister corrected himself and said that this was essentially to ensure that there's fuel to fire the thermal plants. And that's why it's being called the Dumsor levy, to avert Dumsor. They still have not provided clarity on it, but we know what it is for. It is to block the hole in the budget that has been created as a result of the removal of taxes without introducing budget cutting measures. Remember that when we were preparing the budget, we said, yes, we all want these taxes gone, But if you remove them and you don't cut expenses by a commensurate amount, you have a hole in the budget of about 7 billion. It is that hole that they want to fill with this 8 billion. This about 6 billion CDs that they are raising, about 5.7 billion that they are raising from this 8% levy. That is actually what they want to fill. So this whole story that they were going to reduce the VAT refund threshold from 6% to 4%, and that was some innovative way of raising money to block them. It didn't work. That is why they have brought
Now, the president has also given a directive that he's going to cancel fuel coupons for appointees. And the energy minister at a press conference has admitted that government does not have ready data on how much will be saved from this directive. Now, as a former cabinet minister, do you have an idea of the figures involved? And how significant do you think this move is in terms of expenditure rationalization?
It's interesting that the government that is introducing the policy says they don't know how much they will save by it.
Maybe it's early days yet.
But you see, that's why we have what we call the fiscal impact assessment. If you read the Public Financial Management Act, it says anytime you are introducing a bill or by extension introducing a policy, one of the first things you have to do is to do the fiscal impact assessment so that you know how much money this thing that you claim you are doing is going to save. Earlier this evening, I was speaking to one of your colleagues and challenging that the media should find out from the paymaster whether or not government appointees get fuel allowance as a matter of fact. So that when you say you have taken it off, people can genuinely say that, okay, this is going to save the public purse some money. I was a minister at Information and Works and Housing. I wasn't paid a fuel allowance. In fact, I wasn't paid a salary. I relied on my parliamentary salary. I relied on my own accommodation, transport, everything. So if government says that there's something called fuel allowance that it is cutting, first, as a matter of fact, CSOs, media should do some digging and find out, is it true that there's fuel allowance? And if there is, then your second question comes in, how much? It's interesting that they are not able to answer that question. What I know is that official government vehicles draw fuel from some of the oil stations and sometimes at the fuel depots, at the castle.
Right.
Does this policy mean that they have cancelled that? If it doesn't mean they have cancelled that, then really what has changed? And I think that those are some of the introspections that, civil society groups and media should get up to at this point that government is trying to.
Very well. Let's now discuss the private members bill you are sponsoring. Now, what's the rationale behind your proposal to require ministries, departments, and agencies to align their development agendas as a prerequisite for accessing financing from the Finance Ministry?
So you see, Article 36(5) of the Constitution says that when you win power, you have to convert your manifesto into a 4-year development plan. And then Act 480, the National Development Planning Systems Act, Section 10, requires ministries, departments, and agencies and district assemblies to come up with their strategic plans, which are connected to your plan. In other words, we want all of government to be working to fulfill the development plan. And if you read the Public Financial Management Act, Section 215A2 says that the budget should be based on plans, but there's a gap. There's no compulsion to ensure that ministries, departments, and agencies are complying. And as a result, there are a number of ministries, departments, and agencies that are still getting money or raising money through IGF and spending it on things that are not in conformity with the national development plan that we have agreed on. So the rationale behind this bill, which I have submitted to the Speaker through the clerk, is to close this loophole.
Right.
It does 3 things. Number one, it bars the finance minister or the common fund administrator from giving money or releasing money to any ministry, department, or agency or district assembly that does not certify its development plan. And the certification is what connects your plan to the national development plan. If the NDPC has not certified your plan, then it's not following the national development plan. Number two, even if you generate your own IGF and you don't have a certified plan, you are barred from spending it. All of that money should go to the Central Treasury.
Right.
And then number three, if you flout any of these two, you commit an offense, which will be in contravention of, I think, Section 98 of the PFMA. So those are the 3 things that we are looking to do to contribute to the exercise to protect the public purse.
Now, quickly before we let you go, this weekend, as on Saturday, the NPP will be convergent for your conference. Now, how ready is the party and what are your expectations?
I happen to be on the Constitution Amendment Committee that did the core work that is going to conference.
Right.
We have proposed amendments to many parts of our Constitution. Those amendments have been seen by the National Council of the party. Unfortunately, National Council doesn't have power to take a decision on the amendments. It's conference that has power. So we are going to the conference to propose these amendments to our Constitution as part of efforts to rebuild our party. Our party needs rebuilding. We have a number of challenges. We need to reorganize ourselves. And so the theme for the conference is rebuilding together with our values. It's important that we go back to the liberal conservative values that our forebears built this party with. It's important that we reorganize ourselves. We admit where we've gone wrong. We plot a path to better organize ourselves. And that's what we're going to do at the conference, starting with the constitutional amendments to better position us as part of this reorganization so that we can better deliver on our mandate as a political party.
Very well. Member of Parliament of Offwasi IRB, Honorable Kojo Oppong, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you.